Hello, and welcome back to the Mighty Emotions podcast. I am excited to be sitting down and recording an episode today because I haven't in a couple weeks. I needed a pause, I needed some space to get reorganized. I am a mom, and motherhood is such an adjustment, like so many different transitions in life. And it's a constant, ongoing, iterative adjustment. I wish it was like, oh, you have the baby and you adjust and then it's fine. But that's just not kind of how life works. And actually, in my second book that I'm currently working on, which I'm really excited about, I am going to be talking about how to heal, grow, and how to thrive in that book. But the main premise is, and I posted this on Threads the other day, is that healing is simple, but we make it complicated, right? Growing is slow, but then sudden. And thriving is temporary, but worth every second. So I hear a lot of times, even recently, I'll hear people say, I'm in such a good place and I just need to keep doing this. So I could just stay in a good place. And I'm not here to burst anyone's bubble, but thriving when we are in that good place, when all of our needs are met and we're in alignment and things are good, it's temporary. It's temporary, just like anything else is temporary. And it's about embracing that and like really honing that joy, right? When you're in that moment and you're full of joy and you're thriving, to really be present with it because it is temporary. But the good news is that struggle can also be temporary if we take the right actions, right? And so today I want to talk you through 4 actions, 4 steps to move through a period of struggle. And it's really for anyone, if you've recently been triggered, if you like notice that something has triggered you and you're in that fight or flight mode, these are the 4 things that you need to immediately do. I did this morning. I did this morning. Last night was a rough night. My daughter had me waking up every single hour from midnight till about 6:30. So every hour I was up on the same at the same time, every hour, taking care of her, tending to her, and I woke up so dysregulated. Like my nervous system was on fire. I was in fight or flight. I was freaking out. Not like externally freaking out, but within my body, I could feel the electricity surging. And I turned to this method. I did this method. I took her to school. I did a workout. Now I'm sitting down and recording this podcast, and I feel good. I feel really freaking good. I made a bulletproof coffee, had my workout 35 minutes, took a shower, exfoliated, like dry brushing, the whole thing, like really took care of myself, because that is what we need to do. And then I was like, okay, now I'll sit down and I'll record this podcast because it's the perfect time to talk to you about how to apply this method because it's not complicated. Remember earlier I said healing is simple, but we overcomplicate it. And so many people do that. But it is also very structured, right? Healing and processing our emotions is a very step by step process. And it is in that process for a reason. We are made to follow these steps as they are laid out. Trust me, I've tried to do it out of order and it doesn't really work. And the most common way that we try to do it out of order, that I see people trying to do it out of order, is that they'll experience a trigger, right? They'll feel triggered and they'll immediately start to overthink and they'll start to try to give themselves a pep talk and use mindset techniques and affirmations and like try to override the trigger mentally with their brain, with their thoughts. And that is a huge mistake because your nervous system is primal, it is physical, it is tangible, and it is not going to be overridden by just telling yourself positive affirmations. If you are triggered, then it is a nervous system dysregulation that you need to kind of move through before you have the capacity, the energy going to your brain to really have the kind of thoughts that are supportive and empowering. Last night, when I was waking up every hour, as I said, I was like, I could feel my nervous system starting to really really get activated. And I kept trying to like regulate and calm down and go back to sleep. And I did get back to sleep only to be woken up again not too long after. And I was having all of these thoughts, like horrible thoughts, right? About everything, like wanting to make decisions, like crazy decisions. And because of the work that I do and how important mindfulness is and awareness is in this work, I know that when you are in a dysregulated state, when your nervous system is on fire, when you are in fight or flight, it is not the time to make decisions. You're not thinking well. Your body is just going berserk, and you're not having the kind of thoughts that are actually supportive of you. And this is when we tend to ruminate and spiral in our thinking because our nervous system is super activated, right? We haven't been getting our needs met, right? Our needs are deprived, our nervous system is triggered, and then we go into one of our trauma responses or several of our trauma responses, and our mind goes into overdrive, all the kind of negative stuff in our subconscious. I was thinking about war, and I was thinking like horrible things that I've consumed, right? Just things are happening in the world and I'm aware of what's going on and I'm consuming it. And it's in that state when my body is like crying out for help that I start to think about all these things and I start to feel all these things. And in that moment, it's really just about being patient with myself, giving myself grace, trying to focus on the present moment and do what I need to do to take care of myself. So let's get into the method, the 4 steps. And this is referred to as the STOP method. I've actually, in the description of this podcast, linked the Instagram post that I did years ago, where I break down the STOP method. It's actually a method that I learned in positive psychology. And it's really, really simple. This is kind of my tweak on it based on how I apply it. But the idea is that the word stop is slow down, take care of yourself, observe and acknowledge what's going on, and proceed with aligned action. That's my definition. You might see those labeled slightly differently, but I'm going to walk you through step by step how you apply these 4 steps in this order when you've been triggered. Stop. S. Slow down, right? The first step is that you notice that you've been triggered. You notice because you feel very emotionally charged and activated. Like you want to run, flight, you want to yell at someone, you get aggressive, fight. You notice that these kind of trauma responses are coming up. And if you're not familiar with the trauma responses, there are actually 6 trauma responses. You usually only hear like the first 3, but there are actually 6 that are completely normal primal behaviors that are activated when we are in danger, when our needs are deprived in some way. So I talk about that in the chapter on anger, I believe, in my book, or anger or fear in my book. So you can check out the link below to find out more about my book. But I talk about these 6 trauma responses, how to recognize them. And when you can recognize one of these trauma responses is activated, that's how you know that you've been triggered. And so the first step is to slow down. Because typically when we've been triggered, we want to speed up. We want to get out of that feeling as quickly as possible. We are so uncomfortable, physically uncomfortable, that we want to do anything but. Like when I woke up and I was feeling that, I was having all these crazy thoughts, I noticed myself wanting to go online and scroll, for example, like just distract my mind. Like, I wanted to get out of that feeling so badly. And I just slowed down. Literally, I tell my clients, slow motion. Imagine you are in slow motion, and it's going to feel very bizarre and very strange, but it's only until you get to the next step that you're going to, use this slowing down. So I'm not saying you need to slow down for 5 years. I'm just saying that when you notice that emotional charge running through you, it is not the time to act. It is the time to pause. It is the time to slow down, right? Some people will say this as stop. Just stop what you're doing. Just don't take action. I prefer to say just slow down. Just become really aware, become really present. And then that's going to take us to the next step, which is to take care of yourself. This is the T in stop. So what do I mean by taking care of yourself? I mean that your body, when it's been triggered, imagine it's like a scared puppy or a scared lamb or some kind of young animal. or a small child or a kitten that's scared, right? And they're shaking and they're coming to you and you're holding them and consoling them. That is what your body is going through when you are triggered. It is literally vibrating with energy. It is that instinct, it is that primal reaction to having our needs deprived. We cannot control it. It's just going to happen. And it's a moment of taking care of ourselves and nurturing ourselves. And the way we can do this when we've been triggered is somatic release practices or techniques. So you might have heard somatic release or somatic, exercises, and people can make it sound really, again, overcomplicated. Healing is simple. All somatic release means is that you do small micro actions to release tension in your body. So that could be tapping certain parts of your body, like your chest, wherever you feel tension. I like to tap my shoulders, right? And you're just gently with the tips of your fingers tapping. I like to tap my legs. Another thing is stroking, gently stroking your body. Again, remember, your body is afraid, right? You've been triggered, your body is afraid, your nervous system is activated. So you just want to gently stroke your arms, gently stroke your legs, gently stroke your chest. You want to just comfort your physical body in that terrified state that it's in. Your nervous system just needs to be soothed. So somatic release is really any kind of small micro actions. You can roll your wrists, right? And you might notice yourself as you're doing these actions, you're releasing tension, you're releasing stagnant energy, and you might yawn, you might start to tear up, right? All of this is very normal nervous system release. So it's very, very healthy, and it doesn't take as long as you might think. Another thing is you might want to put your hands on your rib cages and hum and notice the vibration in your hands and in your ribs and in your torso, right? Just these gentle micro movements to take care of yourself. And that's exactly what I did this morning. I got up, I told my husband, I need you to take over. I've been up every hour. My nervous system is on fire. And I laid in bed probably for about 5 minutes, really not that long. And I did my tapping, I did my stroking, I did my humming. I noticed myself wanting to reach for distraction. I noticed myself wanting to escape the discomfort. And I just told my body, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I know you did not get the rest that you needed. I know that you're afraid, and it's okay. We're safe. And just these gentle movements. And as I did it, I was yawning, I was tearing up, I was crying, and I was feeling so good. As I was tapping my shoulders, I could feel the tension being released, and it felt so good after. So that's really all somatic release is. It's about gently moving energy in your body, gently releasing tension in certain parts of your body through these gentle kind of movements. And so when we slow down, we become more present with our body, and we're able to do these movements and really, really focus. Your mind is going to want to go to all these places. Bring your attention back to your physical body. Sometimes it helps to squeeze a part of your body, squeeze your arms, just to make your mind focus on the body, right? Because the mind likes to take over. And when you do that, you'll find that you actually do become calmer. It's not that you're all of a sudden so much better, but you are better enough to go to the next step, which is to observe and to acknowledge. This is the part where now that your nervous system has been regulated, you've released the tension in your body, you've moved it gently, you can see, okay, like, why was I triggered, right? And in my case, I knew why I was triggered. I knew I was triggered because of my lack of sleep. Sometimes we don't even realize what triggered us. Something triggers us, we're completely unaware that we had a trigger there. And so by slowing down, by doing the somatic release techniques, again, it's just about releasing tension wherever you feel tension in your body, rolling your shoulders, taking care of your body. Remember, it's a terrified animal when it's been triggered. So you're taking care of it. And then you're observing, okay, what brought that on, right? And in my work, it's all about helping you understand your needs and helping you understand that when there is a need that isn't getting met, your body is going to go into emotional activation, right? It's an automatic process that happens. So when I go to the observe and acknowledge stuff, I'm talking about, what was the need that wasn't getting met there? Was it a lack of safety? Was it a lack of connection? Sometimes I'll be triggered seemingly for nothing. And when I go through this process and I get to the observe step, I realize, you know what, I actually haven't been doing my self-care practices, or I haven't felt very free and autonomous. I felt really bogged down by responsibility and obligation, whatever it is. This is the part in the Mighty Emotions method where I talk about listening to the emotions, right? Acknowledging them and saying, okay, I feel this way, it's human. And the biggest thing at this step is to recognize that how you feel is not your identity. It is something you're experiencing. Being triggered is an experience you're having, right? An experience is temporary by nature. Even if it feels like it's forever, it's really just recycled temporary experience that's feeling prolonged. Every experience is moment by moment by moment. So if I am feeling insecure, like, that doesn't mean I'm an insecure person. I can be a very confident person who's feeling insecure in this moment. It's about observing and acknowledging, okay, what triggered that insecurity within me, or what triggered that fear within me, or what triggered that shame within me, whatever it is getting aware of the root, not with the intention to fix it just yet, but with curiosity, just trying to understand it, right? So this is why we want to de-identify, decouple ourselves from our emotions and see, okay, this is how I'm feeling. Why? What triggered this? Where did this come from? And it all goes back to a category of need. So it's either I wasn't feeling safe, I wasn't feeling secure, I didn't have my sustenance needs, I felt disconnected and alone, I felt abandoned, I felt rejected, or I felt really suffocated and trapped, and I felt like I didn't have any autonomy, and I felt like I couldn't make any decisions for myself, or I just felt devoid of something deeper, some kind of meaning or fulfillment was missing or has been missing from my life. And something small triggered me because my nervous system was already in a vulnerable state because I haven't been really taking care of myself. So you see, like, the observe and the acknowledge is where we just become really aware. And it's actually where you get really wise to yourself. You really start to understand yourself deeply in an authentic way, and you start to see, okay, this is how I work. This is how I've been working to this point. This is how I would like to be. And now that our nervous system has been regulated from the first two steps, this is where we can say, oh, okay, I can think a little bit clearer now. My thoughts can be a little bit more empowering now. This is where you can use your affirmations. This is where you can say more positive, affirming things because you've already calmed your body and made your physical body feel safe. And now you can start to kind of implement your affirmations at this observe and acknowledge phase. And then the last step is to proceed with aligned action. So this is where you want to see, okay, how can I get my needs met? How can I take care of myself? So in my example, not getting a lot of sleep, it was that my body really needed sustenance, right? It needed to be restored, replenished, nourished. And so I took my daughters to school and I said, okay, I felt like doing a workout. I felt like making a really rich bulletproof coffee and doing a short workout, moving my body, helping, like, using weights, feeling strong, got in the shower, exfoliated, did some lymphatic drainage with my dry brushing. Like, I just needed to take care of my physical body. I don't work out every day, right? I don't do this whole routine every day. This is not something that I'm saying you need to do this routine to feel okay. No, this is about saying, okay, where do I need care? In my case, because of the lack of sleep, I needed to focus on my body, my physical body this morning, and just nourishing it and giving it care and taking that aligned action. And now I'm sitting down here feeling freaking great. I feel great in this moment recording this podcast. I feel proud of myself for having taken care of myself. And you can see it's these really small things. And we have to adjust to our life circumstances, of course. So in my case, this taking care of my body could have looked different. It could have looked like making myself a really nourishing breakfast. It could have looked like going for a walk because the weather is absolutely gorgeous right now. It could have looked like doing yoga. It could have looked like many things. But it was about the fact that I was focused on taking care of my sustenance needs and taking care of my physical needs, and that I moved through the STOP method. And that is why a lot of times we think that just the affirmations or just the nervous system regulation is enough, right? Because we do feel some kind of relief when we release that tension, we feel relief. But the reality is that you don't resolve that trigger until you have taken action. You have to take action. You have to actually address those unmet needs in order to feel the change within you, in order to feel restored. And it really was this like, okay, I had a bad start to the day. I had a rough start to the day. I'll say, I won't say bad. It was a rough start. It wasn't the way I wanted to start the day. And I was going to reset it. And now I feel like I've reset and I'm going to go into a whole new day. It was like last night didn't even happen, right? I'm not angry at my daughter. She was clearly having, a rough night, maybe having nightmares. And I was there to comfort her. And I'm proud of that as my role as mom. But my body was like, help, help. We need this kind of nourishment. And so I did what I needed to do. And then I focused on getting my physical needs met. And like I said, it could have done it in many different ways, but I followed my intuition, I followed my instincts, and I took the action that felt the best for me. If this sounds very similar to my Mighty Emotions method of noticing what you're feeling, honoring it, listening to it, and then taking aligned action, you're absolutely right. It is exactly that method, the STOP method, the Mighty Emotions method. Doing these 4 steps in this order is going to change your life. It's going to change the game for you. It's going to help you reset after a period of being triggered. It's going to help you restore yourself to a more healthy, strong, resilient state. And this is the method that has carried me through my healing journey, continues to support me in my life. Like I said, I applied these 4 steps this morning. It didn't take that long. It probably took from start to finish maybe 2 hours, and not even continuous. Like I was doing, mom things in between there. But it's about the intention. It's about the awareness. It's about the knowing how to take care of your steps in this order. I didn't get triggered and then try to work out and say everything's fine. No, I had to give my body the love and care that it needed. I had to really honor my nervous system dysregulation and use my somatic release techniques to get that tension and that stagnant energy moving and out of my body. And I just followed my intuition in terms of, okay, how can I best take care of my body right now? What is my body telling me that it needs? If my body was saying go back to sleep, that's what I would have done, right? But it's about slowing down. It's about taking care of yourself, taking care of your body, your nervous system, doing the somatic release. It's about observing and acknowledging, okay, what caused this? Okay, what do I need right now? Actually making an assessment before jumping into action. Because we think that if we jump into action, we'll feel better right away. And that is really dangerous because your nervous system needs that care first. So remember the 4 steps, remember the STOP method. I also break down the Mighty Emotions method in my book, Outrunning Your Emotions, which is linked down below. I've also linked my Instagram post where I break down the STOP method. It's very, very similar, same principles, same ideas. And in any event, in any case, whichever system you want to use or however you want to call it, it works. It works. It works. It works every single time. Remember to be gentle with yourself. This is not about getting it right. This is not about doing it perfectly. This is about having the tools, having this process to guide yourself, guide your body back from a place of dysregulation to empowerment, from disempowerment to feeling strong again. This is an ongoing cycle. It's not about fixing yourself. You're not broken. It's just a human nature that we go through these things, and which is why I really want you to have these tools. I hope you apply the STOP method, the Mighty Emotions method. I hope you use these 4 steps in your everyday life when you notice that you've been triggered. Again, if you want to learn more about the trauma responses so you can recognize if you've been triggered, you can get my book, Outrunning Your Emotions, and reach out to me anytime on Instagram. Feel free to join the Mighty Emotions community so we can stay connected. I love you so much for listening. I really hope this episode was supportive to you, and I will see you on the next episode.